Guys, the memory we're about to talk about today is significant for a ton of reasons. It's the only car that we've talked about so far that I still got. It's, you see it. Every video that you watch from us, you see it. I carry it with me everywhere I go. And she's a long story. We'll touch on the highlights, but yeah, this one is, well, only one way to hear the story, guys. Here's your Monday morning memory from Pugliese Speed Shop. You guys, you gotta know. We're going to my book for this one. And what's funny is, guys, she's on the cover. There's a reason that Megan and the kid put that picture there. Let's cruise through. Open like right to it. There we go. I should probably fix this, but I won't. My 1953 Pontiac Cheiftan, guys. I'm gonna come out and zoom in, so I don't give you the shadow. You know, that's the kind of things we like to do around here. That's the day I got her home. Me and Megan pushed that thing to the driveway. The hill didn't seem that big until we had to do that. There's Megan. She'll probably get mad at me showing that picture. That's fine. Got her in the garage. There's a Ninja next to her. She's a little beat up, guys. Wonder why that happened. Wow. My hand's a lot bigger than that. God, it's a pretty car, guys. Pontiac, man. I'm going to tell you, it's just like, they got just the right amount of trim, just the right amount of stainless, chrome, all that kind of stuff. You see, she's a little beat up. Got some 70s paint on her. We started sanding her down right away. Got the roof knocked down, primed her all up. Didn't know what I was getting myself into, what I was going to do. She's all primed up. Then we were going to take her to a car show, so, yeah. Red wheels was like the thing at this time frame. 2000 and 2002. October. I liked it with that red stripe over the center. That was pretty cool. We lowered her a little bit. Went for that, that artistic look. There she is next to Brandon's 37 down there at Chip's house. Interior was there. A little beat, but there. I love it. This dash, guys, I love this thing. Is just so sexy. No heat, but we got that giant thing. Two-door post, which I think is the sexiest look. Flathead 6. And that's it. No, that's not it. Here we go. Right there. There's another shot of the Flathead 6. There's the trunk. You see that mint green? That's actually the original color. And I'd be lying if I told you what those boxes were, but yeah. Let's sit down and talk about it. All right, so without looking right here, who already knew what I was talking about? Probably everybody, right? What I said it was the only one I still got. I take it with me everywhere I go. And you see it in every single video, because right there. So you probably knew, and it's super important, guys. It was my first ever old school hot rod project. I had older cars, but they weren't that old. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But first one, what made me want to get the car? I had sold the orange truck, the little project I put together, and I remember saying, the next one I build is going to be something. It's going to be like, memorable. I mean, the 88 Dodge Ram 50, it was cool because I built it, but other than that, I mean, maybe now mini trucks are kind of cool, but no. It wasn't nothing back then, right? It was just... So, I didn't know what I wanted. Guys, I've never really been a huge muscle car guy, one or two here or there, but, and I was stationed up at China Lake. We owned the house, we bought the house, our first house there in Adelanto. Andrew was, well, you see in this picture here, about how old he was when I got the car. And I met my buddy Justin. I've talked about him before. I met up with him in Savannah during the tailgate tour. We've been like super tight for, well, since then, since I sponsored him on the base. And it was just, he was kind of my first introduction, if you will, to like the rockabilly lifestyle, right? Like it was kind of just making a second coming in the early 2000s. And, punk rock music and all that kind of stuff, rockabilly and all the stuff that I love and you guys hear me talk about. Well, Justin had a 1950 Chevy, 4-door, like the torpedo back, just a sexy car. And super low mileage and had wide whites on it. He was into all the stuff and we started talking about all that. And I think he still had the Chevy when I got the Pontiac, but then he had some Buicks and now he's got a 41 Chevy now. Beautiful car. But like a time capsule. That's awesome. But I knew I wanted to get something like that. I was, the lead sled, the bomb, whatever you want to call it, whatever slang. I knew that's the style I wanted. I saw that car, went to a couple car shows with Justin and Chip and Joe and Brandon, and we kind of, I knew what I wanted. And I said, okay. And I remember talking to my old man, and I was like, I wanted, 49 to 50 through 54, like that body style GM is what I wanted. So I'm on the phone with him, and I didn't mean it breaking balls, but it kind of came out that way, and he definitely took it that way. But I says, I told him I was looking for an old car, and that's what I wanted to buy, And so he's talking. He's a big 57 Chevy guy. Right? It was like his favorite car of all time. So I said, okay, but that's not what I want. He's like, oh, you should get one. I was like, yeah, but it's not what I want, right? I love them. They're cool as hell. And it just wasn't what I wanted at the time. So I said, well, Pop, I'm looking for something, and I'm trying to figure out how to say it to him. And I couldn't think of the year range or whatever. And, he kind of just kept butting in with his idea. And I said, basically, Pop, I want something like older than you. He was born in 54. He suggested at that point in the game that I should go do something by myself. Probably figure that out. And I said, no, I didn't mean it like that. And he's like, yeah, whatever, sure you didn't. But, we talked for a while and whatnot. And I was shopping. Now, eBay was new to me. It's probably been out a couple of years at that point in the game. And I had the Dakota. I'll drive the thing anywhere to go get whatever I want. I didn't have a trailer. Brandon had one with a winch on it. Guys, we're golden, right? I first find a place. Now, cheap was always my thing. Let's talk about that. I find a place up in Minnesota called the Rufus Ranch. And man, I started Googling cars and I came across this website. And man, I got to check if that's still open. It's like rufusranch150m.com. Wow, I can't remember that. And he was a guy that I thought it was a business, but it was, as he said, a hobby that got out of control. I thought he was full of it. Now I can relate. So I get it. And he had all these cool cars, man. He had a bunch of Buicks and maybe a Caddy or two, and just he just rolled through. He'd get stuff and kind of save them. Like, man, he would, if he had a YouTube channel, he'd be killing it, man, because it was so cool. It was, a lot of it was rusted and beat up, but they were there, man. You know, most of them he had a title, bill of sale, whatever you needed. And I came across a 52 Buick. I know you're like, dude, it's a 53 Pontiac. What are you talking about? I'm getting there. All right. So I find this car $250. It didn't run. I don't think it had a motor in it, actually. Most of his cars ran, but they wanted like 1,000 or 1,500. This was, now I'm not thinking what it's going to cost to drag a trailer from China Lake, California, all the way to wherever, Minnesota, and back with a car. Don't care. I'm not even thinking. So I'm hitting back and forth. We're emailing, and this is he fell off a little bit. He come back. It's because it was a hobby. It wasn't a job for him. But then I find a guy, I'm not even sure how, that had a 53 Buick nailhead motor with a Dynaflow trans. And I was like, man, for free. I scooped that up. I'm putting that in that 52 Buick. It was a two-door, right? You got Buick's beautiful cars. Come on. It was green and white, two-tone. This is it. This is what we're doing. And of course, the whole deal fell through. I did get the motor. Had that in the back of the Dakota, and yeah, you know, we got it home, and it kind of sat for a little bit. A long bit. That's besides. So that falls apart. Not falls apart, but it just kind of fizzles. And then I kind of started doing all the math, and I was like, this is not a great idea. And he's like, I agree, dude. It's not worth driving this far for this car. It's not worth it. Even if I gave it to you for free. He's like, it's so super cool guy, super honest. I followed him for a while, and I kind of fell off, but I'm going to check him out again. So then Justin was always on eBay. And I started looking on there and came across a 54 Pontiac. Two-door. It was up in Connecticut. Had a straight 8. I think with the Hydromatic. And it was cool. It was black with a white top, like satin black. Has flames on it, red rims, because it was 2002, and that's what they all had, right? The guy wanted $3,500, and my brother was living in Connecticut at the time. So I was like, "Hey, man, you want to scoop this up?" And we actually talked about it, but it didn't pan out. They sold it or whatever. Then eBay. Now, mind you, this is 2002. So I'm on dial-up internet on a compact computer I bought from the Navy Exchange. Just the only reason at the time was to email my brother who was on deployment. I didn't care about anything else. But then we started messing with it. I had a little room in the back of the house. It was like a second den, and almost like this bar is now. But that's where we had it there. And I remember Megan's outside doing something, and I was watching this car, and I was, man, this thing's about to end. So I pull up that thing. Now this was in Montclair, West Covina. It was somewhere around. It was right off Route 10, somewhere in Southern California, right? So about an hour and a half for me, and it was my 53 Pontiac. All I knew about it was a couple pictures on the internet. It was in a warehouse from 1986, and it was at $800. So I was like, oh man. So I'm watching it. And I'm there for the last minute. I'm like, I was high bid at 750, 800, whatever it was. And then the sniper comes in like, boop. And I'm like, oh, no. So I kept trying to get it. I won it for $954. Well, then that's when I realized there's a little problem with that. It's, there's a thing called a reserve. So I get an email from the guy. I think the reserve is $1,000. He never told me, but he's like, "Hey man, you know what? come get it. I said, okay. Andrew's in the back of the truck. I actually, before I even went down there, I go outside. Megan, I think we were working in the yard, and I like snuck off to go buy this thing. And I says, hey, I told her what my plan was, and she was like, oh, I'll help you fix it up. And like, she likes to do the interior stuff. You know, she's always been kind of with that craft stuff. So she's like, what do you, what? I said, hey, have you ever seen a 53 Pontiac? You like them? And she's like, I have no idea. I said, well, I'm going to go buy one on Friday. So you'll get to check it out and see if you like it. She's like, you what? So I told her the story, and she's like, whatever. So she had to work. I got the kid in the car seat. He's sound asleep in the back of the Dakota, and I'm winching this thing on. Well, before that, it was in a warehouse. He did not lie. It was strategically parked. So in the pictures, the right side, you couldn't see it. The quarter was smashed in. I was like, oh. But God, solid. Solid, man. I also called him out because I opened the hood and there's no throttle linkage. And I was like, he told me, I drove it in here and haven't touched it since 1986. So how'd you drive it in here without throttle linkage? Oh, I guess I did take that. Now, he had a couple cars, and I do understand that there's a chance that he didn't remember, but I'm pretty sure he remembered. Either way, we went to it on the trailer. I get it home. Megan thinks it's super cool. We clean it up. That's why you saw her outside in the picture. You see the kid out there, you know. And I said, well, I'm going to sand it down and prime it. That's what you did. That's what I knew. That's what my old man always did. If I had it to do again, I think I'd have left it. And I say that because I like the green and the white. I mean, originally, it was mint green with a dark green top, which was not what I wanted at the time. But now, and Q Stella, she's wandering, guys. But no, now I'm like, man, that's a beautiful combination. So it wasn't that color. Maybe I could have stripped it. I doubt it, but who knows? It was cracking weird. And what it was, I know the whole life of the car, guys. The guy I bought it from his buddy. His buddy bought it brand new. He wanted the cheapest car he could get for his wife that was an automatic. So, inline six, well, flathead six for the Pontiac, had a radio and heater delete package. So the dash is super clean. And it was Southern California. He didn't need heat. You know, you had the little wing windows. You could kind of get the defrost going, but Buddy wanted automatic. So now it's kind of weird. There's a lot of weird things in 53, but he wanted well, if you had the inline, the flathead six, it came with a 3 on the tree. He didn't want that, so he special ordered the Hydromatic. And now, if you got the Hydromatic, you got the straight 8, the flathead 8. He didn't want that. So this is a special order car, just the way it came. And there was only like 200 and something of them made with this. So it was a whole thing. I went down rabbit holes to figure this all out. I think it's 236 is what sticks in my mind. And what makes it weird is in 1953, the Hydromatic plant burned down. So this is an early 53 because later on, the Caddy I had that you guys have heard about, it was a 53 and it had a Dynaflow. No, it had a Power Glide. It had one of the two. It was a 2-speed. I know that. And so the one that was supposed to have a Hydromatic, I had 2 cars at the same time. The one that was supposed to have it didn't. The one that wasn't supposed to have it did. It was just kind of, yeah, it's kind of cool. Cool little trivia, right? Well, like I said, I sanded it all down, get it all ready. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me back up. So yeah, very rare package on the car. That guy, his wife drove it into the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. His daughter goes to college. He does a quick Quickie Resto. That's the word. And that's when it got painted dark green with a white top, and he had the white wheels on it. And I think most of the interior was, that was definitely 70s. That was in there when I got it, because it would have had mohair and stuff, and it didn't. But it was vinyl, green vinyl, dark green vinyl, with the white, had like a swoosh on it. It came out really cool. Megan did a good job with that. She took what was there and just made it better. And that's when I sanded it and primed it, and I wanted to do it a satin or a flat green, almost like a chalkboard, like a green chalkboard, with, I said a white top, then I said an almond top. Never got there. We got to primer gray with the red stripe thing going on, and that's where that kind of ended. I knocked some of the dent out. I put it up on jacks. I put blocks in the back. I cut the front springs. It sat down nice, right? Cleaned everything up really good. And then I got orders through Virginia. So actually the car was still on jack stands with the suspension out of it when I got the orders. So we put it all back together, and that's when I bought my first trailer. We put it on there with a come along. That didn't suck at all, in case you're wondering. And then cross country, like I said about the Dakota, it was awesome driving that thing. I still have, I mentioned Justin, if you ever look on my workbench, there's a PBR can that sits on there that's crushed and stuck in there. You're probably, why is this idiot holding on to that? We were drinking beer the night before I left. Justin crushed it and put it inside the grill with a little Pontiac thing would go. It wasn't in there. He shoved it in there. The whole way cross country it stayed. Guys, that was May of 2003. I still got the can. some just weird little things, man, I'll hold on to, right? So we get out to Chip's house. We start messing with a lot of cars. I actually bought the Caddy before I left the desert because that was a good idea. So we're dealing with that. And then I went, the dog. So then after all that, I got a little crazy, and I couldn't get that thing to start, man. No matter, me and Justin were messing. We had it like blah, 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 and then that was it. It would not go any further than that. So it was that was upsetting. That's when I came across the Caddy. I picked it up. I had more money at that point for a little while than I ever had before in my life. We sold the house, and couldn't find a house right away to buy, so I started buying up some cars. And we'll talk about that later. But that's how it got pushed to the side. It sat there, it looked cool, and we finally bought some property, built the house. There was a dirt floor garage on the property. So I put it in there, and it kind of sat. It sat in the driveway for a while, it sat in there for a while. I smacked it with the Dakota, put it in the garage. Things weren't going the best, but she was all right. Well, then we transferred back to China Lake. We decided we're not buying a house this time. This is after 3 deployments, so cut me some slack on not getting work done on the car. I did a bunch of other things on a bunch of other cars, and you'll hear about that on upcoming memories. But we get back to China Lake. We're living in housing. I meet my buddy Louie through Justin, because they were good friends, and we all start talking cars. Right? I had the GTO. Yeah, the GTO. I had my dually. I had a bunch of stuff going on there. We'll talk about them as it comes up too. We're only talking about the Pontiac right now. We got to touch. You get it. Well, Justin had, what was he driving? He was going through his Volkswagen phase at that point in the game. Louis had a 55 Buick Slam, beautiful car. Vito had a 53 Chevy, and then he bought like a 57 Chevy, both trucks. Everybody had something. But Brian, this dude had a 50 or 51 Plymouth 2-door. So we're all messing with these kind of things, and I'm like, well, I kind of quit caring about the GTO. I want to get back to my roots over here. So we started messing with the car. That motor was trash, guys, especially after it sat for 5 years in the garage in Carolina. I couldn't even drain the oil. It was just gobbed. It was not even sludge or syrup or anything. It's not dude. It was trashed. So, and even just to buy the rebuild kit for it was, I think it was like over $2,000 in 2008. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. To get what, 118 horsepower, if that. So we said, and then I got to do all the machine work. It wasn't worth it. So I yanked it out. I sold that thing for $100 to somebody. We got what's in there now. It's 215 inline six out of a 64 Tempest. And it's a 2-speed power glide out of a 64 Impala. I had a 64 Le Mans with that setup. I love the way that thing drove. I thought that was the perfect drive line for this car because it's never going to be fast, guys. I'm not even caring about that. I wanted Pontiac. I wanted to lift the hood and it looked stock. Now, if you're a Pontiac guy, you know it's not a flathead, so it's not. But it's just a look I wanted, and I thought it was going to be easier than putting like a 350 in it. Not true. We filleted the cross member, everything. I'll show you. The kids putting pictures up on all this stuff as we're going through to get that stuff in there, to make it look like it belonged there. And I was so worried about changing the steering, I didn't think about all this other stuff. We manufactured a transmission cross member that I'm not looking forward to ever taking out because we just welded it straight in because, well, that's what we did. That's what we had. That's what we did. So it came out really cool. That motor I picked up for a couple $100. It had 40,000 miles on it. It is spotless inside. Well, it was in 2008 or 2009 by the time it came around. Pulled it all apart, regasketed everything. And I kind of where it's at for a while. We did some body work. Me and the kid were flattening out. The roof was beat. I don't know if it was in a hailstorm or somebody danced a jig on top of it, but it was not great. And it was kind of cool. We were doing some Bondo work and then filing it down and kind of trying to, we put too much, guys. I was learning, right? We're always learning, but I remember the kid, I worked nights, the kid would call me, or would he text me? I think he just texted. Either way, Dad, I know you're working. Can I do some body work on the Pontiac? Yeah, dude, get after it. You know, so he did. And it looked pretty good. Me and my buddy Rob took the bumpers off and, you know, we smoothed everything, put the bolts in, you know, from the inside, welded them in so we could just make it look smooth. They still need chromed and everything. The one fender started getting rust on it. Louis cut that out and fixed that for me. So all this little stuff. Then I bought I got a low car shifter, and I started getting like a lot of things I wanted to get for it. And then I made Chief, which was awesome, and kind of got taken away from that for a while. I ended up selling the GTO because all I wanted to do was work on this thing. So I was actually doing things to focus where I wanted to focus. And then I went back on deployment right after I made Chief. So I went through Chief's initiation. That's like, 2 months of training. All right. So I didn't get any work done. And then shortly after that, I transferred to Lemoore. Megan and the kids stayed back. I went on deployment. I came back, moved the car. No, actually, I moved the car then because we took a place off base. And I had a spot for it there. And there's a picture over here. I think it's in the snow. That's the first time I ever saw that. But I think, well, maybe at Chip's house. But so then we went back to, then we moved up to Lemoore. My car was the first car Justin had in his shop at his new house. He had bought that. And it sat there, and then he was outside, but he turned the motor for me all the time and all that. Like I said, awesome guy. So then I came down, me and Maldy went down and got the car, brought it back up, and I started working on it there. Got underneath it, knocked all the scale off, we undercoated it, we did all this stuff, right? Put the aluminum radiator, I started doing wiring and plumbing. Then went on deployment again. then I came back and we were moving here. So I was trying to get it towed. I don't know what that was. I had my 65 with no motor in it at this point. I had the car that didn't run. They were gonna transfer it, transport it. That fell through. Chip ended up, because he was living 585 steps from me. He counted. And he had a 2-car trailer, and he was transferring back to North Carolina. So he said, hey, man, I'll take it for you. And he did. He took it cross country and wouldn't take any money for it. He let me take him to dinner. That was about it. I appreciate it, dude. And, well, then the house we were renting before we moved in here, I didn't have anywhere to keep it because, well, life happens, that we're talking about. So he held it for me down there. I went down to go get it, and guys, she took a beating. I got some rust holes in the roof, probably where that Bondo kind of was too thick, and pine needles and rain and time. Those pine needles, guys, oh my God. And I mentioned this before on the channel as well. They got inside, and like where the back windows would come down, there's like a shelf there. It rusted that out. The body is amazing. The body's not destroyed. The floors, weird, just where the needles let. Oh man, I guess it was sitting on them as well. So I got some holes in the floor. It's not unsavable. Nothing ever is. But she took the beating of a lifetime. And I remember going and getting it. And that's my fault. I shouldn't let it sit there that long. I don't blame anybody but myself. So, you know, I people have actually asked me, oh man, Chip let that. No, Chip didn't do a thing. Chip did me a favor. All right. I didn't prioritize. And there you go. So, like I said, it's still savable. I mean, it wasn't even. So Jimbo's 46 that's sitting next to it down the shop, behind it rather. It was sitting right next to it. And then none of those things happened. The floor was bad, but the floor was bad in that car anyway. So that's not, it is what it is, guys. These things happen. I remember walking around the car and I'm like, oh my God. And I apologize. I'm sorry, baby. I'm like rubbing the fender. And Megan looks at me. It was after we pulled it out of there. We got on the trailer and I brought it over to, we stopped for dinner. And we went with Chip and them. And I'm looking at the car and I'm like, I can't believe this. And I'm apologizing to her. And Megan's like, you son of a bitch. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you screwed me over a couple times, you know, over the years. I said, and I've apologized. And she said, you have, but not as sincerely as you just did to that car. And she's probably right, because, man, I felt awful. I still feel awful. Every time I see her, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, girl. So we brought her down here. I cut a lot of I got a lot, all those pine, I cleaned all that stuff out. I didn't want it to get any worse. I cut out what I needed to save things and whatnot. And we put her in the shop, and she sat there. And I was trying to put a plan together. I don't think we had the channel going yet. No, because we didn't have a video on it. But it was shortly after. So, but she sat in the shop. And I was like, okay, she's safe in here. And then, I don't know, 6 months, a year later, we got Scotty's truck in the shop. And I decided, and Jay was against this. He wanted to at least put a cover over it. I said, no, let's just leave it. I think covering it, dropping moisture, make it worse. I put it outside where you see it now. And that's kind of where the story's at, guys. You know, I told this story before on the channel, and I remember the first time I recorded it, it was over an hour of just the details behind all the stuff that had happened. And that's why I tried to just focus on that car. I learned so much. I've had that car for 24, it'll be October, it'll be 24 years, October 1st. You guys want to know the worst part? You know how many times I've driven it? 0. Never have. I've been towed in it from my house to Chip's house, and other things like that. But yeah, 24 years, never drove it, never heard it run. Well, I take that back. Me and Justin, we did get that flathead to bark off and rumble a couple times, and then that was the end of that. So I did hear it run. Never got to drive it. So every time, and Megan will get on me, like about the cars. And she's like, well, you got that thing rotting away. And I would get mad when she said it, and now I'm like, now I just feel bad because she was right. And if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have bought all those other cars, man. I would have finished that one and then moved on, like I can always say that Kevin does. But you can't change the past. You can just improve the future, and that's what we're doing now. I you might not look like it because I'm not doing nothing with it, but I don't want to rush that through either. And my plan for that car has changed a million times over the years of what I want to do with it, what colors I want it, what this, what that, whatever. I think I got to figure it out. Obviously, I got some projects to do until before I can get on that. But until then, I got guys up in the loft, a ton of parts for that thing. So much rare stuff, cool stuff. Megan's bought me a ton of memorabilia over the years. I'll show you a couple pic. She got me the original ad from the 50s. I got a little die cast like from the showroom like model from the 50s. Just so much cool stuff. So she's got an eye for that stuff. And yeah, it's I'll never get rid of it. There's a time or two where I actually like, man, maybe it'd be better if I got rid of it. And Megan's like, it's on your arm. She's like, and now that you got that thing tattooed on you before you got my name or anything like that, so you ain't getting rid of it. And I appreciate that because I do love the car. I always say this is my favorite buy sell. That's my favorite. Yeah, I do like Brandon's 37 and those beautiful cars. Again, there's no denying that. But that's my favorite car in the whole world. That particular one. It's I'm kind of mad. The last time when we transferred here is the only time I didn't drag it behind me. It was behind me on the one-car trailer coming from California to Carolina, and it was behind on the two-car trailer going back to California. I towed it up to Lemoore when we moved up there. And the last time, I picked it up from the warehouse the first time. It was always behind one of my trucks. And last time Chip did it for me, I did tow it up here. I had the Tundra and the club trailer you guys always see me use. So it's followed me cross country 3 times up and down the East Coast. She ain't going nowhere. But we are going to get it done. And is it going to happen tomorrow? No, it's not, because I got other stuff that's like pretty close and whatnot. But we are going to move some things around and actually get some things protected that we don't have protected right now. And that's a problem for me. So I always say work on what you love. And the one I love the most, I don't work on. That's a problem. So we'll fix it. And this is just like story time, but a little bit of advice. You buy the car that you've always wanted, finish it. If I finished it and I was driving it, I'd keep it in the garage. It wouldn't. My fault, guys. I get it. But that's the story of the 53 Pontiac, and it ain't over. So, what Yogi Berra say? Yeah, it ain't over till it's over, and it's far from over. So, way more to come on the Pontiac. It's a long one, guys, but I just summed up 24 years in 34 minutes. That's pretty good. Nice watching, guys.